and praise to our God.
Welcome to Early Morning Catechism. So how was your summer? My summer was blessed with a very special trip in which I went to South Dakota to visit a very dear friend of mine by the name of Sister Marie Schwann. I arrived on Saturday, and on Sunday we went to Mass 90 miles away on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I was impressed by two things: the poverty of the people and the beauty of the Mass and the beauty of the little church inside of this old building. I was impressed tremendously by the work of the Jesuit priests for 125 years in that part of our country. After Mass, we were talking to the priest, and Sister Marie pointed to me and said, "Oh, Sister really would like to be a missionary." And the priest pointed to me, and he had one question: "When are you available?" And I was taken back. It's like, whoa, this is too much. As we continue our discussion of faith, I'd like to talk today about how faith is a matter of listening and leaping. Trust me, I was not ready to leap into that unknown territory at the beginning of a new school year when I have a ministry in this missionary territory of northeastern Wisconsin. But that's not how it was with a man by the name of Abraham. God didn't question whether Abraham would be available and when he would be available. We turn to the 12th chapter of the book of Genesis, and it says, "The Lord said to Abram, 'Go forth from the land of your kinsfolk and from your father's house to a land that I will show you.'" And God explains the blessing that Abraham will receive. And then verse 4 simply says, "Abram went as the Lord directed him." And so what did this mean? It meant that Abram, and this was his name before he was called Abraham, traveled from way down here in what is now Iraq, from the city of Ur, northwest to this land, which was then called the land of Canaan. This strip of land between the waters that later would become the country of Israel. What did it take for Abraham to do that? He listened. He listened to God deep in his heart. He knew that he lived in a land where people worshiped false gods, and he really needed to go where the Lord was leading him. So what does that teach us? Faith is a listening. It begins with listening inside of our hearts. And we know when we know. We know when we should do something. But we also listen on the outside to the voices of people, to the voices of the church, to the voices of our culture, to the voices of the times. We put all of that listening together, and sometimes we don't have much time to do that. And then faith involves a leaping into uncharted territory. That's what Abraham did, and often it's what we have to do. And as we leap, we have a vision in front of us. A vision that often goes beyond the nitty-gritty earthly thing we're going to do. And so, we have to understand that in the Bible there's always much more there than what's there. Abraham did more than go from one land to another. Listen to what the letter to the Hebrews tells us. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. He went out not knowing where he was to go. By faith, he sojourned in the promised land as in a foreign country, dwelling in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and maker was God. By faith, he received power to generate, even though he was past the normal age. For he thought the one who had made the promise was trustworthy. And so faith involves listening and then leaping. When did you take a leap into the unknown? And it turned out to be much, much more than you expected. Because keep in mind, wherever we go on our faith journey, we carry a dream with us.
Blessings he bears to those who trust in his way.